Beauty and the Beast. Once upon a time, a young prince lived in a shining castle. One night, a beggar woman appeared at the door. She offered the prince a single rose in return for shelter, but the selfish prince refused. Suddenly, the beggar woman's ugliness melted away to reveal a beautiful enchantress. As punishment for turning her away, she turned the prince into a beast and placed a spell on the entire castle. If the prince could not learn to love and earn another's love in return, by the time the last petal fell from the enchantress's rose, he would remain a beast forever. In a village nearby lived an inventor named Maurice and his daughter Belle. Gaston, the handsomest man in the village, thought Belle was beautiful. He decided that he would marry her. But Belle did not wish to marry Gaston. She found him boring and arrogant. Belle knew that Gaston would not make a good husband. She dreamed of finding true love. One fall afternoon, Maurice set off to show his latest invention at the fair. On his way, Maurice and his horse Felipe got lost in the woods. Suddenly, a pack of wolves surrounded Maurice. Frightened, Felipe reared up. Maurice fell to the ground and the horse ran off. The wolves chased Maurice until he found himself in front of a tall iron gate. Maurice slipped behind the gate and entered a gloomy-looking castle. To his surprise, it was full of charming enchanted servants. Lumiere, the candlestick, and Cogsworth, the clock, invited Maurice to take a seat by the fire. He wasn't seated long before a frightening beast entered the room. Angry that Maurice was trespassing on his property, the beast locked him in the dungeon. When Felipe returned home alone, Belle set off at once to find her father. "Oh, papa," she cried when she found Maurice in the freezing dungeon, "we must get you out of here." Suddenly, the beast appeared. Belle begged him to let her father go. In return, she promised to stay in his place. The beast accepted and showed Belle to her room. He told her she was free to go anywhere she liked, except for the West Wing. That night, Belle refused to eat with the beast. Later, when she became hungry, she crept down to the kitchen. The enchanted objects were so excited to finally have a guest that they treated her to a singing, dancing feast. After dinner, Belle went exploring. Without meaning to, she accidentally entered the West Wing. In a corner of one room, Belle spotted a beautiful rose. Belle reached for the flower. As she was about to lift the dome covering it, the beast burst into the room. "I warned you never to come here," he bellowed. "Do you know what you could have done?" Terrified, Belle ran from the castle. She climbed onto Felipe, who was waiting outside, and rode away. Soon they were surrounded by wolves. The wolves were about to attack when the beast arrived. Fighting bravely, he drove the vicious animals away. The beast sank to the ground in pain. The wolves had injured him. Belle took the beast back to the castle and tended to his wounds. He seemed different now. Belle found that she was no longer frightened of him. Time passed, and Belle and the beast grew closer. The more time they spent together, the kinder and gentler the beast became. One evening the beast arranged a beautiful dinner for himself and Belle. Lumiere and the other servants watched closely. They hoped the two would fall in love and break the spell. After dinner, Belle and the beast went to the ballroom. Soon they were whirling together across the floor in perfect rhythm. As Belle danced, she realized that she was happy at the castle. She had come to think of it as home. Not long after, the beast showed Belle his enchanted mirror. In it, Belle saw an image of her father. He looked ill. Belle knew he needed her help. There was only one petal left on the rose, but the beast agreed to let Belle go home. He had fallen in love with her and could not stand to see her unhappy. "Take the mirror with you," the beast said sadly, "so you can remember me." Belle arrived in the village to find Gaston and the townspeople bringing Maurice to an asylum. They thought he was mad for talking about a beast. Gaston offered to help Belle if she would agree to marry him. Belle knew she had to do something. She held up the enchanted mirror and showed the crowd an image of the beast. Gaston could see that Belle had feelings for the creature. "I say we kill the beast," he shouted. The townspeople agreed. With Gaston leading the way, they marched to the castle and broke inside. But the enchanted objects were ready for them. The hat rack threw punches, the wardrobe fought back with her doors, and a bucket flung itself against the invaders. Upstairs, the beast saw that Belle had come back for him, but Gaston got to him first. As the beast reached for Belle, Gaston snuck up behind him and stabbed him in the back. The beast let out a mighty roar and knocked Gaston over the balcony. Then he turned to Belle. "At least I got to see you one last time," he said. The beast closed his eyes and fell back, his body still. "No, no, please don't leave me," Belle sobbed. "I love you." Inside, the last petal fell from the rose. Suddenly, a light shone down on the beast. His body rose into the air. Belle watched, amazed, as the beast twisted around and transformed into a handsome prince. "Belle," he said softly, "it's me." Belle looked into his eyes. "It is you," she cried. The spell was broken. The enchanted objects were human again. They watched as Belle and the prince danced. "Mama," asked Chip, Miss Potts's young son, "are they going to live happily ever after?" "Of course," Miss Potts answered with a smile. And so they did. The end.